This is Trenemy, one of the most interesting human beings ever discovered by the internet. We made a video about him in the past. You may have seen it, but there's so much more going on now. And this isn't the kind of discovery where the guy has done some inconceivable amount of good things and just hasn't been shown to the world yet. This is a little bit of a kind of scary, crazy, and clinically insane kind of discovery. Something about this man, however, is jarring whilst also being very calming and honestly appealing. I don't know, it's weird. If you don't remember him or haven't watched the previous video, I recommend that you click it right here. It is a baller ass video because to catch you up right now, it would take about 3 hours. The lore goes deep. Trenemy started on YouTube by documenting his extreme dental surgery, including a shocking story of chiseling his own teeth with a hammer to relieve pain.
It's just like, I've had a bad smile my entire life, broken all the way down to the gum. They get abscessed and they hurt really bad. And I've actually taken a hammer and chisel and like crack them off to relieve the pressure.
But what began as a dental vlog quickly spiraled into something much more crazy. His channel evolved into raw, unfiltered looks at his life, from TRT to mental health to full-blown anabolic steroid experimentation, especially with Trenbolone, all while using a fictional friend named Bob to describe his own cycle.
What's up YouTube, I'm Mike, and today I'm shooting the second in a video series that's basically Bob Does Steroids. So if you have not watched the first video in the series, you're definitely going to want to watch this video here so that you understand who Bob is and why I'm talking in the third person.
Over time, Mike quit his 20-year career, got divorced, battled custody for his kids, married a new partner who is also using and documenting her steroid journey, started an OnlyFans with her, and then burned through $500,000 in company stock while cycling increasingly dangerous compounds. His content across this time has gotten increasingly chaotic, at times emotionally unstable, and certainly controversial, all while sharing it with the world, a sort of self-destruction, if you will. Now, you might argue the fact, if you know Trenemy, that he's not doing that and he's a good guy. And I'd say you're actually probably right. He does seem like a good guy, but it's an interesting spectacle and a social experiment that we can witness, so why not decompartmentalize it? Now, the reason I'm making this video is because there's a lot to update you on. Things have happened in Trenemy's world, and I think it's worth talking about. Not only has he started dosing his wife with Tren as well, the holy elixir as he calls it.
My wife Sarah decided to give in to my never-ending assault, and she tried Tren Ace for the first time ever. She took 5 milligrams of Tren Ace pre-workout, and people have been waiting with bated breath to find out what happened to her. Spoiler alert, guys, nothing happened. I know that this seems like some kind of crazy experiment to run. It really wasn't. We ended up doing a lot of working out together, which we almost never do. We had the greatest time.
It was really fun. We had a good time. We were laughing a lot. I felt focused on my workout, but I was not so focused that distractions were annoying. Like you said, it was really clean.
It's like a pure, clean energy.
And then also, it didn't seem to keep me from being able to interact appropriately. And then the time at the gym just flew.
He put himself into an extremely deep depression with using Trenbolone and Nandrolone simultaneously, two very not so great compounds to do this with.
I have literally gone to hell and back psychologically. The short side of it is that when I increased my Nandrolone dose from 300 to 400 and I was taking Tren and Tren Ace, my prolactin level apparently got too high. Trying to fix the problem, and when I started taking the Caber to fix the problem, it did fix it, but I didn't trust it because I was taking like a lot of Caber. So normally I take a quarter of a milligram of Caber every other day. Like 1 week I took basically like a quarter a day. So what is that? 1 3/4, which honestly might be necessary at some of these doses. But I didn't trust that I really needed that much, and so I went back into my old paranoid state that, oh no, it's my estrogen, maybe the Deca is making my estrogen go up. So when I increased the Caber, the effects went away, but I didn't trust it, and so I jumped back off, and the depression that got on top of me was the worst that I have ever experienced. I know I've made these videos before, and sure enough, every time that I do, what we end up figuring out is that my prolactin was through the roof. I told you guys recently that on this no test cycle with Nandrolone and Trenbolone that I started lactating for the first time ever. And so I knew my prolactin was fucked up at that point.
So many of you might not be familiar with these terms, but let's try to demystify some of this and talk about the compounds he's taking. So he was taking Tren, Nandrolone, and Caber. Now, Trenbolone or Tren is a 19-nor anabolic steroid known for its extreme ability to bind to the androgen receptor. It's about 3 times as strong as testosterone in that regard. It's incredibly effective for building lean mass and sustaining strength within the gym, but it also carries with it this neuropsychiatric risk that is just completely not worth it long term. Tren has been clearly associated in many data with aggression, insomnia, anxiety, paranoia, and most of all, reactivity. This is likely due to its impact of neurosteroids like allopregnanolone and potentially its interference with the GABAergic system. Users often report themselves feeling not like themselves, as if emotionally disconnected or on edge 24/7. And then nandrolone decanate, commonly known as Deca, is another 19-nortestosterone. While it's typically considered more mild in terms of its effects than Trenbolone, it still has a host of interesting neurological effects that I think people don't talk about enough. In specific, it causes some pretty decent mood swings, and in some users elevates prolactin. A hormone when high can cause sexual dysfunction, emotional blunting, and depressive symptoms. Both nandrolone and Trenbolone can elevate this prolactin significantly and independently of one another. That's where cabergoline comes in. It's a dopamine D2 receptor agonist, and it was originally used for Parkinson's and prolactin secreting tumors, but it has now gained popularity within bodybuilding. It's essentially used off-label in bodybuilders to reduce high prolactin levels from using these variations of testosterone, the 19-nortestosterone variations. When prolactin is too high, it suppresses dopamine. This causes emotional instability and dysregulation of one's happiness and general euphoria with life. But by lowering prolactin, something like cabergoline can actually improve emotional status and feelings of well-being, which exactly here is what Trenemy is claiming that has happened to him. So to summarize, this isn't just a steroid stack. This is a neuroendocrine experiment out of hell. When you start messing with your dopamine system, you are asking for massive amounts of trouble in all areas of life and long-term dysfunction within someone's brain. I have made many statements in the past about how I don't believe Trenbolone use should ever be a real thing unless you are truly going to make bodybuilding a long-lasting career for you. Tren will melt your brains. But this isn't all, you guys. This isn't even close to all. Trenemy hasn't been looking out for his health the best over the past couple of years, and what has resulted in this absence of attention isn't good.
One really sad story I have to share with you guys is I've been using a wrist cuff for like the past 5 years to check my blood pressure, and I found out recently that my blood pressure readings have all been faulty. I have likely been averaging a blood pressure anywhere between 135 and up to 150 over middle 70s, middle 80s for possibly 3+ years. I don't know if I've done any damage to my kidneys or any of my other major organs having that kind of blood pressure for 3 consecutive, maybe 4 years. I can't know for sure. So I had gone from as high as 155 over 88 one night where I was feeling really bad. I had like 102 pulse, 155 over 88, and then when I was on the Debivolol, I got down to like 117 over 70 something. It dropped my pulse from the high 90s to the low 70s, and then I fucking ran out because I had only bought just enough to trial it to see if it was gonna work.
Okay, so imagine this. You have years straight of Trenbolone use, and you have wild and drastic shifts within blood pressure and heart rate. This just is not good for anybody. And let me explain why, because I think this is important if you're not using steroids or if you are using steroids. Your heart is an engine, and the faster it runs, the more pressure pumps against it, the quicker it wears out. If you think about a Toyota Corolla, it has low RPMs, modest output, built to last basically. You give it oil changes and some sips of fuel, and it will drive for just about 1 million miles. We've seen it 1 million times before. But you compare that to a NASCAR engine. It redlines a few hours on a race day and then needs a full teardown to be rebuilt again. If not, it has blown already and needs an entirely new engine. Some of those NASCAR engines go well above 10,000 to even 13,000 RPMs. Same goes for sport bikes, like the ones that I have out front. It could hit 14, 1600 RPM and deliver insane performance, but you're lucky if the engine lasts more than, to be honest, 50, 60, maybe if you're really, really lucky, 70,000 miles on a high performance bike. That's exactly what happens to your cardiovascular system when you're using something like Trenbolone. You have an elevated sympathetic tone, a fight or flight state. You have increased red blood cell mass. You have an elevated heart rate due to that stress response 24/7. And your heart is basically turning into that NASCAR engine as compared to that little four-banger within the Toyota Corolla. But the problem here is that your heart isn't a rebuildable part. It can't be fixed. Once it's gone bad, and you are gone. So some bodybuilders do things like take beta blockers and various other compounds like ARBs, angiotensin receptor blockades, but they do that in order to lower their heart rate and lower their blood pressure manually because the compounds that they're taking do elevate these things. It's actually something that I'm prescribed due to panic disorders. It helps me keep my heart rate stable when it does want to get up there pretty quick. However, in my definition, my definition of optimal heart rates, looking at research and really trying to figure out what would be best for longevity's sake, it's sub 60s. It's sub 60s in a resting heart rate. So 60 beats per minute, right? Ideally, we're in the 50s somewhere. That is not at all where Trenemy is. And even with nebivolol, which is intentionally lowering your heart rate, it's still in the upper 70s. Okay, so the new with Trenemy is that he actually got a new job, but it didn't last long. Basically, the company found out that he was making these videos online and everything he talked about was exposed.
I have been for the past 10 months working for one of the single worst companies maybe ever conceived by man. My experience was that they are one of the worst companies ever conceived of by man. I have been absolutely living in hell working for this company. I have been so incredibly miserable working for this company for so long that I just didn't have anything left in the tank at the end of the day to make these videos. I was concerned, obviously, about my channel getting out. It did anyway. I just found out recently that several of my coworkers found my channel some time ago. And that's the unfortunate thing about our society that we're living in. For some reason, you can have all the trans stuff, you can have all the crazy stuff going on, and these people have no trouble getting a job. And I come on here and scream and rant to the camera, and people are like, oh, I don't know, that could be a bad look for our company. Honesty is not a strong selling point in today's market.
Now, because of this, he started up his coaching business again, and hey, I think that's amazing. I think it's honestly just about the only place built for Trenemy to exist in society, where he can provide services to like-minded individuals who are just about as crazy as he is. I don't think he's cut to fit into society the way it's built out to be, but that's not necessarily a bad thing because I think more people need to branch out into their own little niches and something that makes them happy. But I'm not necessarily condoning the behaviors of Trenemy. His go-to right now is actually $75 consultations in which you can ask him anything.
I'm gonna be going back to doing consults for $75 for a consult. So if you want to talk about cycles, sources, diet, training, basically anything. I had a guy hit me up like literally looking for some parenting advice. Some of you guys just seem to want to talk to me in person. Some of you guys want to talk about cycles. Some of you guys want to talk about sources. I'm just going to open myself up because people seem to enjoy my personality. They seem to enjoy my takes on life to whatever you guys need. So $75 will get you, 30 minutes to an hour, whatever it takes. I'm not like real picky about the time limit. If you want anabolics coaching, training advice, do you need marriage counseling? Do you need parenting counseling? You got a job interview you want to discuss? Did you get a speeding ticket and you want me to help you beat your speeding ticket? I can do that for you. Basically, whatever you want. I can be your own personal therapist.
But there is good news because while we're speeding through this, it is an absolute speed run, and for him it is too. I mean, these are within weeks of each other, these videos. He got a new job offer already.
Are you waiting for me to lose my job? Speaking of which, been out of work for 48 hours, boys, and I already got a killer job offer that I think I'm gonna accept either today or this weekend. So I may be back to the old grind here pretty quick.
Now, I, as well as I hope you, are rooting for Trenemy. It'd be cool to see him transform his life, and honestly, I really hope this one works out for him. I think the coolest story to unfold and watch would be him becoming a millionaire and just like racking it in, dude, just from fucking balling out. I don't know, just some cool stuff. Then we would have some serious proof of concept that Tren really is the answer. But as of right now, at least, it doesn't seem that that's the case.